Hello everyone, this is Dennis Chen here. Welcome to another video. By the time you watch this, I think I should be in Japan. This is my home in Canada. My last homestay student just left. It's been non-stop. Thank you for coming. All these people you can see on the map there, I don't see everything. But since 2015, I've had visitors from all over the world. We got China, we got Norway, Ireland, Sweden, Denmark, Argentina, Brazil, South Africa, all over the USA, Mexico, all over Canada. It's been such a blast meeting people from all over the world, coming. I'm very grateful for everyone for coming to my home and studying with me. Maybe the next step is you come to Japan and we do the same thing. Anyway, today I want to talk about this new release, Pat Martino, unreleased footage. Since I'm moving to Japan, I've already moved to Japan, but kind of closing my studio here in Montreal. I've been going through a lot of my inventory, my staff and I, and at one point I stumbled upon a hard drive. I usually don't keep the master tapes of recording sessions for too long. We usually delete everything so as not to have too many hard drives. But somehow I found out that I had not deleted the Pat Martino session. And when I looked at it, I realized there were a number of outtakes that were never released. And sometimes they were not complete takes. But I chose 11 tracks, 10 tunes, but 11 tracks, same tune twice. But I thought, hey, the playing here is actually interesting. It could be released because, of course, the late Pat Martino is no longer with us, and I feel like such things should not remain hidden from the public. It's like nowadays, after they pass away, you have all these recordings of all these players, such as Charlie Parker, take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5. It's really, really cool to see the recording process. How, because as jazz musicians, when we improvise, we want to see like, oh, what changes from take 1 to take 2, take 3. And so I've decided to release them on DC Music School. You can check them out. Thank you so much for supporting artists. While Pat is no longer with us, there is still the Pat Martino estate, and we do split the profits with the estate. I've talked about this before, but I also want to mention again how I do things at DC Music School. And I found out fairly recently that how I do things, actually a lot of artists, well, it depends who you ask maybe, but they appreciate working with me because I don't ask them to prepare anything, so to speak. I want them to play as naturally as possible so that how they play in my studio is the way they really normally play, as opposed to other things they've done with other companies where they've had to prepare a lot of things, have everything scripted, a lot of direction. What it is with me, I ask them to come to the studio, I have them perform, because I believe the playing will do all the talking. And then during this talking segment, if they're comfortable at all talking, then I'll ask them certain questions. Now, a lot of my artists are not comfortable talking. That's why I put more playing there. And when they're not comfortable talking in that way, it's a little bit unnatural because a lot of these people, especially in the gypsy jazz side of things, they don't know what they're doing. They can't really tell you, oh, okay, here I'm thinking 4 minor and I'm using this arpeggio, I put this tension here. They have no idea of any of that. It comes through instinct. And I've talked about this in previous videos. How is it that they can play seemingly complex things? It has to do with the way our brain organizes things. It's a huge topic. I've talked about it in my other videos. If you're new to my YouTube channel, feel free to browse my content. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to comment. With other players, of course, they can do some talking, but I realized one thing. It's one thing to say something, to talk and explain certain things, but when it comes to music, sometimes the play can do all the talking for us. Because at the end of the day, most artists will say more or less the same thing. I mean, who's gonna say, oh, time field is not good, ear training is not good, oh, harmony, that's not important. Everyone's more or less gonna agree that all those things are important. Now, how they may have worked on it, maybe some people may not have used a metronome. Some people may have done a lot of metronome exercises, etc. Some people don't understand harmony in terms of theory, like, oh, this is a 2-5-1. But let me promise you, a guy like Birelli Lagren, when you play him the 2-5-1, he may not know that it's called a 2-5-1, but he understands the sound, the movement. So all those things are important. And it's, in my opinion, it's when you have the playing that everything reveals itself. All the patterns, all the habits, the muscle memory stuff. And I'm a very, very big proponent of the subconscious and of the muscle memory. And it's, take it from me if you don't, maybe you don't believe me, but I have the stats to prove it. I've transcribed or supervised the transcriptions of well over 1,000 jazz fills. I don't think there are many people who have done that many, but I've done that because of my work at DC Music School, transcribing for other people, private clients, transcribing for myself, listening for myself. I've done so much listening for you guys to tell you statistically, I can't think of any player who is quote unquote spontaneously improvising. Even people with like advanced super perfect pitch who can react almost instantaneously. Everyone has their patterns. I've said this before, it's like a language. Here I am speaking to you in English without a script. I'm improvising everything, but everything is coherent. I'm not choosing words out of randomly out of nowhere. Ooh, jazz joke. And so it's the same with jazz music, especially older styles of jazz. A lot of the players on my side are gypsy jazz players, swing players, bebop players, some a little bit more on the modern side. Even those who are on the modern side would say, oh, this person is so spontaneous and creative. Well, guess what? On my side, because I've supervised the transcription, yes, they're very creative. But some people are better than others at quote unquote hiding their repetition. And that's what's really cool with Pat Martino in the DC Music School lesson series, but not just DC Music School, but in his recordings. You'll notice that he has a lot of shapes, patterns that he favors. But whenever he plays the phrases, more often than not, it's not played exactly the same way. So what Pat got good at is changing little things here and there. He'll have definitely certain finger muscle memory tendencies, but he is able to manipulate them so that it's never exactly the same, played the same way. And that's what I want you to see out of this. To see, oh, okay. On top of using this kind of concept, let's say you have a 2-5-1, G minor, C7, F. Okay, Pat is only thinking G minor. He's not thinking C7 at all. But within that G minor, he has, for example, this is one of his shapes. Or these are some of his shapes that you'll see on DC Music School, and he will use these shapes, but he will sometimes make little twists and turns here so that it's not always the same. And then he knows how to link them all together to create long monster phrases. That's what I want you to see from the play, which is all transcribed for you, by the way. But I prefer you guys to use your ears. If you're really serious about music, DC Music School is kind of a difficult business to run because in the beginning, it was more catered towards advanced musicians. And I'm very, very happy to say that a lot of pro musicians are using my site the way I intended it to. But I know sometimes I get complaints from beginners. They want everything explained to them with fret dots and like put your pinky finger on the 7th fret. Those things are such fundamentals that it will be a waste to get someone like Pat Martino to explain to you. It's like hiring a nuclear physicist to become a first grade math teacher. 2 + 2 = 4. What's 3 + 3? 6. Yay! That's where all the money's at, the beginner market. That's why the market is saturated with beginner stuff, like super beginner material. But that's not the case with me. I created DC Music School for kind of a younger version of myself. I wish I had such resources when I was younger, that I could just have the playing, I can watch, I can also see in great detail how they use their technique, and then I can have all these songs. I always wondered when I was learning, what would X player do over this song? Is there any recording? No, there's no recording. So that's what I'm doing here. For those who understand my vision, I really thank you. And those who are against me and don't, I'm sorry. I hope you can find your information elsewhere. But believe me, I've had this Homestay program for such a long time, fully booked. People come from all over the world to study with me. I get cited on PhD thesis, masters, and I have people with PhDs, master's degrees come to me, and I share things with them. They tell me they've never learned that in music school and things like that. I have this unique set of skills, knowledge, and that's backed by evidence, statistics. Statistically, a lot of things that I say are true. Now, maybe you don't believe me, but I have statistics to back me up. I'm not saying things out of a vacuum. It's based on a lot of research. And a lot of things that I say are actually not controversial at all. It's logical. But again, a lot of people simply, there's a term, casting pearls before the swine. You give them the truth, but many people are in denial. And the best way to learn, how to learn everything, I've got that figured out to a science. And I can share that with anyone who wants to get better. Sorry for digressing a little bit, but that's kind of how I designed DC Music School. It's for those who are willing to accept that there is a way to learn fast, but there are certain skills that you have to acquire. And if you have to acquire those basic skills, you should start with those before jumping into like DC music school material and just relying on tabs. It's training the brain. That's something I'm going to have to talk about in another video. I have talked about it a lot in previous videos. But anyway, with all that said, I would like you to enjoy some of these extra clips that I have. The audio is not going to be of good quality because these are completely discarded takes. But still, I think even though these are not the takes that some of them are not complete, so you can see excerpts. Even though maybe Pat might not have wanted to release these, I don't think the playing is bad. I think it's very interesting to see some of the things that was happening. And so there we go. I want to share this with you. Check it out, and also check out the new volume 5 and 6 on Pat Martino at DC Music School. One final story I want to share about Pat Martino is actually many of you have noticed that when he's on stage, he has music in front of him, even for his own compositions. Now, the way it was explained to me, and that was the case also in my studio, he had to have charts for a lot of songs, except for a few of them. I'm going to talk about that. But many of you know that he had that aneurysm when he was fairly young, and he kind of had to relearn how to play jazz. The way he explained it to me is that, for example, if you gave him a fork, his hands kind of knew what to do. And that was the same with the guitar. If you gave him a guitar, he kind of knew what you could do, but because the information was no longer there, he didn't know exactly what to play. But physically, it was there. So he didn't really have to relearn how to play the guitar, so to say. He had to just relearn the language of the music. And what happened is also, it affected his long-term and short-term memories. So a lot of the songs that usually for most people are easy to remember, sometimes he would need just a little reminder of what the chords are, just in case. That includes his own compositions. So that's why he's looking at a chart in my studio for songs even like Autumn Leaves. However, I found it very interesting that for certain Wes Montgomery songs, he did not need a chart at all. And also for the blues, for certain songs, even like Sunny, he didn't need the chart. I think these are songs that he played so very much that despite what happened to him, he could not forget them. So that was very interesting to see. Anyway, enjoy. Thank you very much. And a big thank you to my dear friend Martin Tremblay, for providing me with this guitar for the recording session. He provided me with 2 guitars. This one I'm using it for this video here. Very nice guitar, and an electric one that I use for the Pat Martino lessons. Amazing Luthier. He's been supporting me for such a long time, for so many years, actually more than 10 years, and I'm very grateful to have a friend like him. Wonderful Luthier based out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Check him out.
Okay, sample-wise. You want me to restart? bring this guitar up a little bit more volume. So I'm not have to really hit them hard. And also, I like to go through letter C. Letter C. 2, 3, 4. Oh, one more time. 3, 4. Okay, give it a try. Go again from the top.
Got it?